Hello and welcome to another video. Yes, I haven't seen you guys in quite a while, so I'm hoping to do this a little more often. So, welcome to a video here. We are going to be talking about something that I find pretty cool. I've been following this for a while, well, ever since childhood, basically, and I'll get into that a little later on. Basically, the whole resurgence of UFO stuff recently in the news and whatnot. So, give you guys a little lowdown on what's happening. And if this isn't for you, that's fine. But just do me one little favor. At least, if you do anything by the end of this video, do this. Google the name David Grusch. Grusch. David Grusch. Google his name. Just read a little bit about him. That's all. That's all I ask. So, without further ado, let's get into this. So, basically, just to give you a little background here, I myself, as a child, saw something that I couldn't identify. A flying, I guess a flying saucer, for lack of a better word. Not something that I discussed really openly with people and all that, but I did see one when I was a kid. So, and I always have that vision in my head. Someone was like, so I'm kind of already a believer in that sense because I'm kind of like, well, I didn't mistake in that for anything else. I'm pretty sure what I saw, typical saucer, lights all around it type thing, flying really low too. I'm guessing the year this happened, I was gonna probably guess in the late 80s. It was before the 90s. It was late 80s. So saw a flying disc. And naturally, as a kid, we used to watch Unsolved Mysteries with Robert Stack as the host, and they would go through all these different alien abduction shows and all that stuff, which was always cool, always fascinated me. I always found the Roswell incident to be a cover up, and I still do to this day. And then, as I got older as a teenager, I would buy the X Factor magazines, which are like sci-fi magazines. So I used to collect those. Always kind of been into it. Going into adulthood, kind of, didn't really follow it too much and all that. Um, until really about 2017. And I think in 2017, what happened, we had those videos leaked. New York Times basically leaked three videos which were nicknamed Go Fast, Tic Tac, and Gimbal. So these were three videos that were supposedly from the Pentagon, from U.S. Air pilots, some on board the USS Nimitz and other aircraft carriers, where they saw unidentified objects, captured them on their camera systems, to FLIR and all these different kinds of systems, and couldn't explain them. So when those kind of hit in 2017, people were like, "Oh, those are fakes, they're fake videos, it's not real, and all that." And finally, in 2019, the Pentagon fessed up and said, "Yeah, those are real. Those are videos of things that we cannot explain because they do things that our military equipment can't do." And keep in mind, these videos were filmed back in the early 2000s, so it was even more in the past. So technology was even less advanced. And one of them, I mean, the Tic Tac's really amazing because this vehicle goes in and out of water, which you can't do. No jets go in the water and out of the water. So that one's pretty fascinating and kind of opens up a whole new domain of, what if some of these things are hiding in the water type thing, because what, 80% of the Earth's water or the Earth's oceans haven't even been like properly mapped or, from an underwater perspective. So it's always interesting to me. So we know less about the water, what's underneath the water, than we know about, what's in our nearby space, like the moon and whatnot. So it's kind of interesting. So all of that to say, now let's move forward to recently. So the individual that I spoke of in the intro, David Grusch, he was basically tasked by Congress to go out and find information about UFOs, UAPs, and all that stuff within the government. And the Pentagon wasn't very forthcoming with what they had, and they tried to block him a lot when he tried to get answers. So he managed to get a lot of people to confide in him, people at top, high class security level classifications, or to tell him what really was going on with the whole UFO thing. He basically wrote out some some verbiage to be passed as a whistleblower act, basically in order to protect himself and anybody else who want to come forward to Congress about what's really going on with the subject. And he did that, and so he was basically one of the first whistleblowers to go through to Congress and say, hey, you know, they're withholding information, they're lying. I have several credible sources that say XYZ about UFOs. Basically, he says they're covering up a crash retrieval program. Basically, the United States and other governments too, but I mean, he's talking about the United States because he works for the U.S. military. So the United States has a secret crash retrieval program in which it can either retrieve crashed down aircraft or actually down aircraft of an exotic nature and retrieve the craft in order to try to reverse engineer the technology. And also, there's also talks about recovering bodies that are not necessarily human. So, what they call NHI, non human intelligence. So, I know this all sounds weird to people who are like looking at this, like, what are you talking about? So, I'm going to get to something here. Um, the information that David Grusch brought forward to Congress was deemed credible. So now there are hearings scheduled for the 26th of July that you can watch on C-SPAN, which you can watch. Basically, they're going to stream it on YouTube, of whistleblowers coming forward and presenting information to Congress, the United States Congress. So think about it here. This is like, and there's been a whole bunch of new legislation that has just been brought out. People like Senator Marco Rubio are all interested into this phenomena. We have Chuck Schumer, who brought some bipartisan legislative, oh my God, stuff to the table. This is really high level, by the way. You can read into this. I'm just giving you the highest of high levels here. So it's super interesting that congressmen, people in the House, people in the Senate are interested in hearing about this because they believe there's a lot of credibility in what's being brought forward to them, which is interesting. So, has there been a shadow government that has been hiding all this stuff for all these years? We may actually find out soon, which is super cool. At least in my opinion. I'm stoked for it. If anything, if it turns out to be nothing burger, at least it'll be entertaining as science fiction. If it doesn't turn out to be nothing burger, it will basically be the biggest revelation in human history. The existential question of are we alone will be answered, which is kind of sharp. Some people that you may want to look up that have far more knowledge of this than I do. Ross Coulthart, who is a reporter, and Leslie Kean. There you go, Leslie Kean, who's also awesome. I find Leslie Kean and Ross Coulthart very well spoken. So if you look up any of them, you'll see a lot of videos on them. Also, there's a documentary on Netflix that's pretty good. And I think it's on YouTube too. You can actually watch it there. Called The Phenomenon from 2010. The Phenomenon, something like a phenomenon, which is actually really good. So yeah. So yeah, I'm looking forward to these. So remember, July 26th. Just watch it, just for fun. We may actually all learn something together, which is pretty neat. So yeah. Also, I sent a message to Ross Coulthard. I would love to talk to that guy via stream right here because I really respect what he's saying. If you're watching this, Ross, come on, look me up. Let's do a live interview here. I'm not an expert in this stuff, but I would have some interesting questions to ask. All right, guys. So until next time, take care. Later.